Guys, so I know I said I was gonna be basically changing over the format on how I talk about things on the channel, and that's true, completely true. But while I was watching YouTube today or a couple days ago, whatever, I happened to notice this thing where a lot of people are talking about the 60 frames per second deal. And a couple of people that I am subscribed to, like Review Tech USA, and even a couple videos that just pop up as suggestions, are talking about 60 frames per second. And I'm reaching for mine. This thing is what I've been playing on a lot lately, the Switch. Because I'm playing Splatoon 2 non-stop. I did just get my 10th game on the Switch, which they're over there, but I finally bought it. I finally got my hands on a copy of it, because for some reason it's scarce. This game right here, Fate Excelia, the Umbrella Star, this game here, it is on the Switch if you can find it. I don't know why it's so scarce. What the hell, Marvelous and Exceed? Why is this game hard to come by on the Switch? I don't know. I only found it at like 2 GameStops, and one of them had 2 copies and another one had, I think, 5. It's hard to come by. I don't know if there's something going on with that game, or if it's just a game that they didn't know if they wanted out on the Switch. I don't know. But I finally got my hands on a copy of it, and it's in my collection now. I'm planning on getting a Vaccine, I believe is how you pronounce that game. It's the horror game. The technically it's a 16-bit looking horror game. It looks one of my friends was like, man, this game looks a lot like Resident Evil. It's got zombies and weird looking creatures and all that shit in there. That game is $10. That's gonna be like my first download game. But the 60 frames a second is a goal that is not met in today's market. It's just not met. A lot of companies, Sony, Microsoft, these two companies, the two companies that everybody is still just like going crazy about, are not meeting 60 frames a second. But they're fucking pushing 4K. Why? What's the point? What is the use in pushing 4K if you're unable to hit 60 frames a second at 1080? The standard definition now. You can't even hit 60 frames a second stable. A stable frame rate of 60 frames a second at 1080p. Developers have blatantly come out and said that that is a goal that is hard to meet. And you want to push 4K. I understand Sony's aspect. I get it. Sony, you make televisions. It's understandable. You want to push the 4K thing because you want to bring in more money, because you make televisions and you're bigger than PlayStation, which a lot of people who buy PlayStations just don't understand. A lot of you come to this channel and hear me talk about how PlayStation technically is broke and how Sony technically has no money. And you're like, that's not true. PlayStation is selling great. But you don't seem to understand that Sony is not just a company that makes PlayStations and that's it. So from that aspect, I totally understand Sony wanting to push 4K because they have more than just PlayStation that they have on the market. That I understand. But Microsoft, they need to chill the fuck out. They do not need to be pushing 4K. I understand they put the 4K Blu-ray in there, and that's fine. But from a standpoint of, y'all do realize a lot of your games are 30 frames a second, and even still they look like shit. I mean, you understand this. There's no way that you as a company don't understand this. When you have Play Anywhere, there's no fucking way that you as a company, Microsoft, do not understand that you who have heavily invested in making sure that exclusive does not mean exclusive anymore, do not understand that your more superior titles show up on PC, and the more superior version of them are on PC now because, hey man, do you want to play Gears of War 4? Yeah. You have an Xbox? No, I have it on PC. Why? Because it's fucking better on PC. I can control everything better on my PC. Why? Because I have an Xbox, and that's where I've played Gears of War at my entire time. Is on my Xbox, because on the 360 it was unheard of for these games to be on fucking PC because they were only on the fucking actual system. Yes, this is something that I don't think has gone through your fucking heads. You've managed to make it to where, hey man, I want to play Halo, but the more superior version of the game is on PC. Get what I'm saying to you? And I know I'm like stumbling through explaining it because I want to go through saying why the console version of the game is the weaker version. Because it is. Okay? Which is why a lot of people on YouTube say, what's the point in owning the console? When the console is technically the lesser version when it's available on PC. Which is a very valid point. People who buy the console because the console is the way you're supposed to be able to go out and be, hey man, I have this because it's here. Okay, and I understand the PC gamers' arguments like, hey man, we don't have that on there. We would love to have it on it. I understand that. And that's where that third-party support is supposed to come in play. But a lot of third-party games don't go to PC. They don't go there because they don't want the modder community in it. They don't want all that bullshit that's involved with PC involved in their games. I get that. But then again, that's part of being a third-party developer is, hey, you share your games on everything. That's why you're third-party. Okay, but now here's my thing with, the 60 frames a second. At 1080p, and your Microsoft or even Sony, if your games are not able to meet that demand at 60 frames a second, which when you get a game that is able to do that, trust me, it puts all these other games to shame. And when you go through and you find that list of games that are actual 1080p 60 frames a second with no tricks, no bullshit, it's actually able to do that. And you see the difference these games make. You're like, holy fuck, these stand out even against some of these other games. And I'm not going to go through and call out the games that they are. Trust me, you can go and you can find that checkered board where they have a list and they tell you either yes or no. They're very noticeable. I mean, Tekken 7 is either 720 or 900p at 30 frames. Trust me, that's a fighting game, and it's not 1080 60 frames. See what I'm saying? So, why are they pushing 4K? Why are we pushing 4K? Like I said, I understand Sony's aspect here. They have televisions. They're going to make money off of televisions, hopefully, because if they don't, guess what's going to happen there? They're going to sell the television side of Sony, and it's really going to come down to, okay, we're Sony, and all we're making is PlayStations, so we're going to drop the name Sony and become PlayStation, which is something that needs to happen any fucking way, because then PlayStation can basically become like Nintendo, hopefully, and then PlayStation will actually start to see some real fucking revenue versus what they have now, which is pure shit, because they're supporting all these other divisions of Sony, which are making no fucking money. Get what I'm saying to you? But again, like I said, I've seen all these channels out there talking about this 60 frames per second issue, which is an issue. But companies like Microsoft, who say it's not, are full of themselves, are full of shit. They're full of themselves, and they don't understand that, oh, it's not an issue. There's a reason you, Microsoft, say it's not an issue. It's because you have two versions of the same one fucking game. You have two versions. One is on your console, which you're struggling to sell. The second one is on PC, which is the more superior version. And now you're coming out with an Xbox One X, which you're going to struggle to sell because it's still not on fucking par with a PC. Which means it's still going to be the weaker version. Do you get what I'm trying to tell you here? I'm not here to blast Sony and I'm not here to blast Xbox, but this issue needs to be met face on. Fuck 4K. Make 1080. Meet the goal of 60 frames a second. Make it to where that is a goal that is met within this generation before you try to meet 4K. Because I'm telling you, 4K at 30 frames is nothing to clamor about. It's nothing to be going, yay. No. Because what are you clapping and going, hooray, we met 4K? What are you celebrating about? You still haven't met the full potential of 1080. You get what I'm saying? Oh man, we met 1080. We've done all we can. Bitch, no you haven't. You still haven't met 1080 60 frames at a solid rate. When your developers are going, bitch, no you haven't. I'm telling you, go find the chart. I'm telling you right now. You can surf YouTube if you want to, man. There's plenty of people to back up what I'm saying. That's why I'm concerned about all these people talking about, man, I want an Xbox One X. Why? So you can sit there and talk about the frame rates that don't exist? Because the developers didn't put them in there? See what I'm saying? 1080p, 60 frames a second. This was a conversation I had years ago with people I work with. I'm like, these consoles are still not putting out 1080p, 60 frames a second. Why are we concerned about 4K? Because a television is outputting 4K for television shows? It's a different format. Same thing with DVDs and video games. When we started writing the video game, the DVD format on the disc, it was a different format. People don't understand that. And I'm just sitting there, I'm looking at it like, okay, you have to be able to meet that, you know, and it's gonna look really bad, you know. It sounds good, and this comes down to what I've said before in the past about sounding good on paper but being horrible in reality. It sounds good on paper. Sounds good on paper, man. Don't let what sounds good on paper fuck up a thing you have going for you, man. And that's what's gonna happen here with both Sony and Microsoft. The shit that sounds good on paper, they're gonna put in reality, and it's gonna fuck them up. It's gonna fuck them up real bad. Okay, you can sit there and be like, that's not true. That is 100% facts. Because they've both implemented shit this generation that sounds good on paper, and tell me it didn't fuck them up in reality. PlayStation Now. Sounds great on paper, man. I can write PlayStation Now down on a sheet of paper, and it sounds great. But then look at it in reality. Fucking horrible. It's fucking terrible. Why do you think they don't talk about PlayStation Now? It's doing horrible. See what I'm saying? So, when you look at it that way, I'm telling you, when you look at it that way, it's going to make more sense. Okay? They need to focus on 60 frames a second. Just focus on that. 1080p, 60 frames a second. Make that a goal. When that goal can be met by every single game, no matter what it is, then you've accomplished something. Then you can move on to the next one. But until then, we have no reason to worry about 4Ks. Televisions are coming out at 4K. Pardon me. So what? So what? Televisions are moving faster. You know what? Phones are moving faster. Who the fuck cares? Oh, my phone does 4K television or 4K video. Who the fuck cares? Consoles have always been behind. Always. That's just the way they are. And you're gonna fuck them up because you're gonna start making them more and more and more and more and more and more powerful. And you know what comes with being more and more powerful? A higher and higher and higher and higher cost. And if you don't pay any attention to anything, you're gonna end up doing exactly what the PS3 did. Having that price tag that's too fucking high and turns away people. I know a lot of people like to condemn and, you know, fucking blast this thing for having a $300 price tag. That's not too fucking high. Let me explain something to you. When you say that's too high for this, let me break it down for you. No reference to DX there, but let's look at it. You get 2 controllers out the box. Two controllers for player 1 and 2. 2 controllers. Something PlayStation doesn't do, something Xbox doesn't do, hell, something Nintendo didn't do until this generation. So you get 2 controllers out the box. Not only do you get 2 controllers, you get those wrist strap things that'll make the controllers a little beefier, and those run about $15 off jump when you go find them out in the world, okay? And they're like, I think between 7 to 15, I'm not sure, but they usually run a pretty good amount of money. The Joy-Cons themselves are about $75 a pop, like when you buy them bundled, and that's even if you buy the basic bitch. This thing here comes in it. This little grip, $30 alone. And then that's this one, that's, $30. And then if you want the one with the charge in it, that's an extra $5. So that's $35. Okay? And yes, they still sell them without the charge. Okay? The Splatoon 2, one that has the Splatoon decal here, doesn't charge. And that one is like $20. Get where I'm going here? The box itself comes with a $100 dock. Yes, the dock itself is like $90. Okay, but after you do taxes and shit, it's gonna be like $100. Okay? They're basically giving you this touch tablet here for free. Okay? Or we could put a price tag on that if you want to. I mean, fuck it. We'll put a price tag on there, say it's $100. Okay? But, I mean, think about everything you're getting in there. You're getting an HDMI cord, you're getting a power brick, which is not even that big in consideration to how big fucking Microsoft's are. You're getting 2 controllers, you're getting the little wrist straps, the fucking charging dock, the fucking actual, tablet. You're getting a lot of stuff in there. And people are like, oh, $300, that's too much. When you break it down, like when you actually break down the console itself and you price it out itself, it's actually not that bad. And then you consider, that when you consider all that, you know what I'm saying, when you just take all that in, it uses current gen memory cards. Like, it uses the current memory cards on the market. So if you go out and you buy like a 32 gig SD card, mini SD card to plug in there, that's $25. Versus, say, when PlayStation did the Vita, they extended it instead of using the ones that's currently on the market. So you'd have to buy from PlayStation. And they charged you like $100 on top of the, what, at that time it was $200. So you spent like $300 on a fucking handheld. And you're telling me that fucking Nintendo's handheld isn't worth $300? You gotta be fucking kidding me. I didn't hear nobody judge PlayStation when they did the Vita. Not one person. Oh, I heard, the memory cards were too expensive. But nobody condemned PlayStation for their Vita. But with Nintendo and a $300 price point, and you can actually piece out the damn system, and the price comes back, and it's pretty much equal, if not just a hair bit more, just a hair, like a few dollars, maybe $5 more. It's not that bad. It's really not. I'm trying to figure out what exactly the problem is, okay? I really wish Nintendo's product was $250. Why? What would be the point of that? I wish it would come with a game. Why? Why do you want Nintendo to give you shit? Why does Nintendo have to give you anything? PlayStation doesn't give you shit. Xbox doesn't give you anything when you buy their products. I mean, if you buy their special edition, yeah, they give you stuff. But if you don't, they don't. And a lot of you buy the basic models. A lot of you buy the piano black PlayStation 4. A lot of you have the basic piano black one. I have the Batman bundle. Or the Gears of War 4 bundle for the Xbox. I got 5 games with my Xbox. I got 1 game with my PS4. How many of you actually went out of your way to buy the Destiny bundle of the PS4? How many of you went out of your way to buy the Gears of War 4 edition of the Xbox One Slim? I'm willing to bet a lot of you are going, I have the basic model. And you have the audacity to sit there and go, I'm not going to buy a Nintendo Switch because it doesn't come with anything. Did your PS4 come with anything? Did it? It came with 500 gigs of memory. But even that is like Nintendo throwing 32 gigs of memory in here. Okay? And it's not... Let me show you something that's going to blow your fucking mind, okay? I'm going to turn this on because you're going to just be like, I can't believe that. Alright? Where is it? No. It's going to blow your mind because you're just going to be like, that's bullshit. I put a 64 gig memory card in here. Alright? And all my games right now are physical. I have 10 games and they're all physical. Okay? 64 gig memory card in this bitch. And then I have the 32 gig internal. And the only internal being eaten up is usually from updates. So, how much memory do you think I'm burning through? A lot of your complaints being that, oh, the memory's going to be like that. How much do you think I'm eating? Here's your answer. Physical doesn't eat a whole lot. Not much at all. I remember reading that, oh, if you're planning on downloading The Legend of Zelda, get ready to burn through half your data. Because it's a big-ass game. Okay. Are you aware that if you bought it for the Wii U, it only ate up 3 gigs of data? Are you aware that if you buy it physically for the Switch, it literally, I just showed you how much of my data it went through. It's like not even that much gone. I still have majority of my data off of both of the system itself and the fucking memory card. You feel what I'm saying to you? But you buy a PS4 with 500 gigs of data and you think that's a lot. Or you buy a fucking Xbox One with 500 gigs and you think that's a lot. The PS4 and the Xbox One games are 60 gigs of data to install itself. You buy a Switch with 32 gigs of data and you're like, oh, that's not enough at all. It's not enough at all. It's not enough at all. But you get 500 gigs on a PS4 and you're like, that's plenty. Plenty to who? I've argued that fact several times. Okay, and I know I went from 60 frames to talking about gigs. I get that. But I mean, seriously. Who in the hell, or why in the hell is it so hard for people to understand memory? My PS4 has a terabyte in it because I went out and bought a terabyte memory in it, and that bitch is almost gone. Okay, I have 11 games on my PS4 because reasons. Okay, I don't play on it much, 1, and 2, I don't care. Okay, my Xbox One has like 80 something games on there and they're all digital, but I have 2 terabytes built in and a 2 terabyte external. So it's 4 terabytes on my Xbox One. And the reason there's more on my Xbox One is because, 1, I didn't have to wait 2.5 years for the fucking external to be used. The fucking Xbox already had that built in. I can use externals. That was standard. PlayStation, you had to wait till an update came out because PlayStation wasn't smart enough to go, hey, why don't we make externals a thing that's, usable? Because 500 gigs is laughable, while these games are 60 to 70 gigs a pop. And games like God of War 3 that was 3 gigs on the PS3 magically turned into 25 to 30 gigs on the PS4. I'm just saying, it's fucking laughable. You get what I'm saying? People condemn the Switch for having 32 gigs of memory. Again, if you don't download anything and you buy them little ass fucking games, they're yay big. Buying those, you'll see your memory's going nowhere. 64 gigs plus the 32 already built in is plenty. I'm literally playing Splatoon 2 all the time. all the fucking time. I just turned it off before making this. And that's how much memory it's eating. That's it. That's all. Breath of the Wild. I'm still playing that game, and I've yet to beat it, and I've put in over 60 plus hours in that game, and that motherfucker that's how much memory's been eaten. I've got amiibos saved on the Switch. Memory that's been eaten, okay? It doesn't take that much. PlayStation 4, Xbox One eat up a shitload of memory. So I understand where you're coming from with the memory and worrying about it. But Nintendo's memory usage on how much is yay much. They don't draw from having to install the game completely off. It's not like a computer, man. They still let you play the game off of the actual device. Oh, you want to play the game? Fucking get the cartridge, plug it in, and you're playing it off the cartridge itself. You're not having to install it onto the device to play the fucking game like a computer. Get what I'm saying to you? And, you know, I don't mind playing games at 720, man. These games look great in handheld mode. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of these games on the Switch actually look better than PS4 and Xbox One, which I know is a bold statement. You're gonna say whatever you want to for that. I don't care. But they really do. I mean, Breath of the Wild to me looks amazing. And I have Horizon Zero Dawn, and that game looks good too. Okay, I don't play it because my girlfriend has my PS4 and she's been playing it nonstop and will not let me have my PS4 back ever since she played this fucking thing. But they look good. Both of them look good. Why are we having a debate on which one's more superior? Why can't they both be good? Splatoon 2 is a fun game. It's addictive, and like I said, I think the whole fucking industry with Sony and Microsoft, mainly them two, need to refocus and fucking forget about 4K. Focus on 60 frames. Just focus on 60 frames. Make that a thing. People need to quit freaking out over the memory in the Switch. Because, again, you can go out and you can buy a cheap-ass fucking memory card. Them little fucking memory cards, they're like, mine was $25. Bought a 64 gig memory card for $25. And it's not even been half used. It's not even half used. 10 fucking games, not even half of it's been used. Okay, 10 games. I just bought Fate Extelia yesterday. And it's not even fucking been half used. So, you feel what I'm saying to you? But I plug this in and it eats up memory off the PS4 more so than it does on the Switch. Okay? And like I said, when PlayStation did that with their Vita, oh, we come out with a handheld, but we're gonna use the idea for this little fucking SD cards, the mini SD cards, micro SDs, but we're gonna make them longer, so you have to buy them from us and then overcharge you for them. Nobody said nothing. People were upset because of the cost, but nobody said nothing. Nobody was like, oh man, this is that. And what did they do? They just didn't buy anything, but they didn't say anything. And then Sony's like, I don't understand the market. Well, you fucked it up. You feel what I'm saying? And Nintendo did it right, man. And now, I've gone to Walmart a couple times. There's 200 gig SD cards. I believe that was the last one I saw was a 200 gig. It might have been 150 gig or 132 gig. It's in the hundreds. I know that. And that one was like 50, maybe $70 for 100 plus memory gig, 100 something, over 100 gig memory of a micro mini SD card. I'm not sure exactly where but it was well over 100. It might have been at 200, but it was under $100 for that micro SD card. And I was like, wow, if I didn't have a 64 gig memory in the Switch right now, I would totally buy that. And I would never need a fucking memory card again. Even if I was to download games, I mean, I'm talking about downloading a fucking indie game. And if I buy even more of them, they're gonna be indie titles. I'm not downloading I'm not downloading Odyssey. I'm not downloading Plus Rabbids. I'm not downloading Xenoblade. I'm downloading indie titles. Indie titles don't eat up a whole lot of space. So if I'm buying the big AAA titles and actually having physicals of those, and I'm downloading indie titles, my memory's going nowhere. That memory card is fucking safe. You get what I'm saying to you? People freaking out over that shit, gotta stop.